92. Once again, we say hello. Welcome to Sports Center. I'm Scott Van Pelt. If you clicked over from watching the Bucks get back into this series with a victory at home, thanks in large part to the tremendous performance from Giannis Antetokounmpo once again. Hi, welcome. Bucks get the victory on their home floor. Tim Legler will be here in just a moment to help break things down. Different stylings on the way into the building, and tens of thousands of people outside cheering their Bucks on. Air balls sometimes work out. Off the miss from Brook Lopez, P.J. Tucker to Giannis. Bucks lead. The story really of this one, big runs late second and late third. What a pass from Jrue Holiday to Tucker. Then Giannis, Euro stepping, part of a 20-6 run to close the second. The Deer District are going nuts. Then just 2 minutes left. The block. Holiday starts it. The give back to Bobby Portis. Beautiful passing. Holiday, Middleton, Holiday. Pretty as a picture. Bucks lead at the breaks 15 points. Early third, Bucks up 11. Giannis, Euro stepping to a wide open space. Then it's kind of a mad scramble. The other night, Tim Legler, who's sitting right across me, we talked about those 50-50 balls. There were 4 Suns in that picture, 1 Buck. The Buck got it. Hold on now. I don't think anybody was ready for this one. Cam Johnson absolutely attacks the rim. P.J. Tucker, he thought it was a block, or charge, I should say. The block was called and the hammer was dropped, and then that's what we're used to seeing Johnson do. He buries it 3. It's a 4-point game, but the Bucks have an answer. Jrue Holiday, another 3, leads back to 14. Then Giannis. No. Giannis. Yes, and the foul. Had a good night from the free throw line as well, without 20,000 people fast counting him. Giannis with 34 and 12 through 3 quarters. Then right before the end of the quarter, Pat Connaughton. All 3 of these, and it's a big run late third. And the Bucks now lead by more than 20. Giannis one more time gets around Jay Crowder. Back-to-back 40-point, 10-plus rebound games. He goes for 41 and 13 in this one. They get the 20-point victory. Giannis, just the 4th player with 100 points in his first 3 NBA Finals games. Joining, this is an interesting one. Kind of an eclectic mix. You got Rick Barry. Obviously, they did some great things there by the Bay. Allen Iverson. Willis Reed. Speaking of legendary stuff in the finals. And now Giannis Antetokounmpo, 103 points in his first 3 NBA Finals games. Bucks are on the board. Tim Legler joins us, and you see the scene over our shoulder there. Been waiting a long while for a finals appearance there in Milwaukee, and they're enjoying defending home floor tonight. We talk so much about adjustments and what has to happen. What happened in this one that allowed the Bucks to play and not just win, but win in pretty dominant fashion?
A lot of things went right. And if you think about it, coming out of game 2, one of the things we were focused on, Jrue Holiday and Chris Middleton offensively, where were they? Chris Middleton got off in the first half. It was critical that he do that. Giannis, had another great game, put up big numbers, had a good first half. But to see his co-star alongside of him rolling and in rhythm gave the Bucks a tremendous boost. Bobby Portis was great off the bench. I always talk about where's this supplemental, unexpected offense going to come from. You don't know on a given night, but somebody usually gives it to you in a playoff win. Right. Bobby Portis was huge in the first half. Then you go now to the second half. DeAndre Ayton picks up his 4th foul early in the third quarter. Suns go small. That depleted front line with no Saric, it really tonight came to the fore because they have nowhere else to go. They went zone. They're playing 5 guards basically most of that quarter. And for a while they hung in there because the Bucks were adjusting to guarding 5 guards. And the Suns were scoring. Eventually, though, it was just a consistent offensive rebounding barrage and then 3-point shooting. Suns trying to protect the lane, packed in a little bit. Jrue Holiday gets going. So all of those things happened for the Bucks tonight. Middleton played well. Holiday played well. The lineup change dramatically affected this game in the second half with that small lineup by the Suns. There's just no way you can keep up with a team that's got Giannis Antetokounmpo on it with 5 guards.
Look, you make 23s in a game as the Suns did in Game 2, and you had more than a 30-point advantage from 3, you're going to win the game. Well, now you flip the script entirely. I'm just doing the math on this, and my math's a little bit spotty here, but I can figure out that the Bucks had an advantage here. And that's going to pivot from game to game. But you're not going to have a replacement for Saric and Ayton if he's in foul trouble. There's zero answer for Giannis. So if you're the Bucks, what are you taking from this game that you think, you know what, however long this series goes, we've got some things we can lean into
Yeah, here. I think they're going to go and they're going to look at this tape and they're going to see that with the pace that they played with put so much pressure on Phoenix initially. You could almost see this coming. I mean, I don't know about you, but I certainly felt this was kind of how this game was going to go. Bucks are too good a team to just get rolled by the Phoenix Suns. It's not going to happen. They're too good in that building and they're too physical. That's what they are going to take out of this tape. We can beat this team up if we commit to playing with that kind of force in the paint. They really don't have a lot of answers for us. Now, they had some issues guarding pick and roll in Phoenix. They were much more competitive tonight on every screen, contesting shots, getting back, running in transition, all of that. They were desperate tonight defensively, so that contributed to the Suns' poor three-point shooting night. But on the other end of the floor, they're seeing that they have no answer for our physicality, whether that's Giannis, whether that's Bobby Portis, whether that's P.J. Tucker and the way he plays on the offensive glass in the lane. Chris Middleton was mixing it up. Drew Holiday. That's, to me, what they're looking at the Phoenix Suns and saying they can't match up with us from a physical standpoint as long as we are committed defensively and not letting them put up these 115, 120-point nights. We're going to get ours, and that's what they come out of this with. They're back in the series very confident now. Yeah,
this felt like a February game against whoever, where the Bucks have triple figures in the third, and they're going to get whatever they want. And that's essentially what they did in this game. More coming from you a little bit later. Tim Legler will get some breakdowns from Tim. 3 things come in. Stephen A.Smith and Michael Wilbon from Milwaukee. And, man, and Stephen A., you know the drill. We always give Michael the first crack at this out of respect to our Hall of Fame colleague here. And, Michael, you know how things... You know how greatness. You know how things pivot. Things tend to change when you change the venue and you see a different energy and a different style of play. What was most notable to you tonight that was different, Michael?
Energy. I mean, for one, the Bucks sort of just wandered in. They didn't know what they were going to get from Giannis when we were in Phoenix when this series started. But you could feel everything going on here, Scott. I'm sure you could sense it all the way back in Washington, about 800 miles. But the thing that is so noticeable about the Milwaukee Bucks is when they play with force, when they realize they're the bigger, stronger team. I don't care who the opposition has been in these playoffs. The Bucks look like a real championship level team. But you don't know the next game when they come out and they float and they shoot threes and they forget who they are, or they just go away from who they are. We don't know what we're going to get from time to time, but they have played with all of that force and energy tonight in Game 3.
Stephen A., when we spoke last after Game 2, you were emphatic about Coach Bud's got to make some adjustments, and you wanted to see some help from Middleton and Holiday. I feel like we know what we got from Middleton and Holiday on top of the 40-plus from Giannis once again. What do you think about how the Bucks answered in terms of making adjustments?
Well, I'm going to take a moment to give Budenholzer a lot of credit because they attacked on the interior. They recognized they were a bit bigger, the physical team, and they attacked. Most of that run in the second quarter came with DeAndre Ayton on the bench because he picked up his 3rd foul. From that point forward, you saw numerous plays where Devin Booker was on Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Greek Freak. There's no possible way he can be expected to guard the Greek Freak. And then when you take that into consideration and you start getting to the hole and you hit 14 to 23 shots and you shoot 13 to 17 from the free throw line, you all of a sudden, oh my goodness, this epiphany hits you. Guess what? If we attack the rim, if we don't make the layup, Mike Wilbon, we might get fouled and we might get to the free throw line. And oh my goodness, we might actually make more than we miss. This is the Milwaukee Bucks team that was considered a title contender. They played like it tonight. They've got size. They've got physicality. They big boyed the Phoenix Suns. They bullied them. They forced the Phoenix Suns to actually purposely tried to engage in playing a zone with Crowder in the middle because you couldn't rely on Frank Kaminsky coming on the court to give you anything when it really, really counted. So they had to go small and go to a zone. That was their only prayer. So now what they see is, hey, guess what? They're the bigger, more physical team, and Devin Booker is going to have to play better. He's the key, Scott Van Pelt. He shot 3 of 14. He was absolutely awful. This was clearly his worst offensive performance of the postseason. He's got to make up for that because when he's balling, along with CP3, they could potentially overcome. But that's the only way they could do it because they just don't have the horses, particularly with Dario Saric out, just like Tim Legler pointed out before we came on.
Yeah, the depth issue is something we alluded to the other night. You wonder, is fatigue going to be a factor? But I want to follow Stephen A. on what you just mentioned. You know, Michael, the saying in the NFL that defense travels, right? That's one thing you can count on. You know, it's not a variable. You're going to have nights where you make some threes. You're going to have nights where you don't miss threes. But I just wonder, Michael, just from a mentality, you look at this game if you're the Bucks and say, we're going to bully him, to use Stephen A's word again. Like, that's something you could lean into moving forward to try to win 3 more games. That has to be their approach, doesn't it?
Scott, it has to be, except it hasn't been. Every other game, we're asking the same things about the Milwaukee Bucks. Every series, the Bucks have done this where they storm the paint. They're the bigger, stronger, more athletic team. And in the next game, they just wander out and shoot threes, and Giannis is not in the paint. Look, the 2 things. One, are they going to play to that form again on Wednesday night in Game 4? That's question 1. Question 2, are they going to get everybody in that ensemble? I kept telling Stephen A. before the game, everybody has to play. I don't want to hear about an X factor. I don't want to hear about which person's going to form a tag team with Giannis. They all got to play. Middleton has to play. Drew Holiday has to play. You have to get something from Bobby Portis. Remember, Coach Bud, for 3 consecutive games against Brooklyn, 5, 6, and 7, didn't even play Portis. And that's why I've said all postseason, I don't trust them because I don't know what they're going to give me back-to-back games. You would think now, Scott, in the finals, that they got 2 days to reinforce to each other, the coaching staff, the players, and everybody around the Bucks. Hey, fellas, this is what we do, and we can be a championship team. But you know what? If they do that, it'll be the first time.
That's right.
Because they go away from it time after time after time.
Listen, that's why I came on the air the other night, Scott, and I said that I don't mean to be disrespectful, but it was a clueless performance by them. Kendrick Perkins was far more harsher than me, and obviously Michael Wilbon was a bit more diplomatic than the both of us, but all 3 of our points were consistent and were to the point. This team, we know what the ingredients to their success is in Milwaukee. They know it too, but somehow inexplicably from game to game they're like a roller coaster. They are devoid of consistency, which means that Phoenix always has a chance because with Phoenix, it's injuries that have gotten in the way. It's compromised their depth. That's what's gotten in the way. But in terms of how they play, sharing the basketball, moving without the basketball, they know who they are. They know what works for them. And when it works, they keep on doing it. Tonight, Devin Booker just didn't have it. But if he has it, and Chris Paul has it, and Cameron Johnson comes off the bench, who I believe should be utilized more, and DeAndre Ayton can stay out of foul trouble, it's going to come down, who's the more consistent team? Who can you trust to hold on to their identity? Tonight, the Bucks showed up, but that wasn't the case in games 1 and 2. We'll see if they show up and do the same thing in game 4.
Please tell me, Stephen A., that somewhere you're going to get some rest. I appreciate you being with me the other night. Then I see you in Vegas doing your thing. Now I see you here. Just please tell me you're going to get some rest. Well, you earn every dollar. You're a star. Get some rest.
I appreciate it, but winners do what it takes. When the job is finished, that's when I'll get rest.
He got his energy from that white jacket in Vegas last night, Scott.
I saw the chains.
Hey, fellas.
Yeah.
Was it not smooth? Was it not smooth?
It was.
That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
Clean, very clean always.
He keeps going like this.
Get some rest. Stephen A. Smith, Michael Wilbon. We'll see you for First Take in the morning and talk to you the other after Game 4. Appreciate you, gentlemen. All right. We get to Coach Bud, who was called out the other night for his failure to make some adjustments. In this one, you trust Giannis, you leaned into him, and here's what Coach Budenholzer had to say about his 2-time MVP.
I'm doing whatever it takes to help his team, to help us. he's in an aggressive mindset. He always plays that way. But I thought he played with the pass well, made some great reads, found guys, played against the zone. He just did a little bit of everything, offensive boards, put backs. So we need a lot from him, and that's what he does.
More of the statistical dominance of Giannis, just the fourth player in the last half century with 40 and 20 in the NBA Finals. Kyrie was the last. The other two on the list, Kobe and Shaq, both went on to win a title and NBA Finals MVP. Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy, kind enough to wait to give us some perspective. And Jeff, the other night when we talked about the difference, right, you said it's really fractional. The difference between winning and losing maybe isn't as wide a margin as it might have seemed. The biggest difference in the estimation of you two tonight, Jeff, and you could start, is what?
Phoenix didn't shoot it well. Milwaukee did. I thought both teams played hard. I loved what Milwaukee did the other night to start the game. They just didn't sustain it in Game 2 from a shooting standpoint. And tonight they pounded the board. They did a lot of things well. And I think what we often forget, Scott, it's hard to win one game in this league, one playoff game, one series. We act and we speak like this is easy, like you're not playing against another team as good or as committed as you are. So I think we forget that it is really close between these teams and how hard it is to win.
And to me, the thing that stood out is they got after it defensively, and Giannis did a great job of setting the tone, being aggressive, trusting Middleton and Drew Holiday to make plays, and they put the ball in Middleton's hands at time, getting him comfortable.
Yeah, and as we were talking about earlier, just them bullying down low, and Giannis once again, what an astounding talent. Maybe tomorrow people talk more about what he does rather than what he does not, because it's been quite a show from Giannis early on in this series. We'll talk after Game 4. Mark, Jeff, thank you as always.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks.
As we continue with you. We welcome you back to Sports Center, just past 11 Eastern. Big Sunday on the other side of the Atlantic. Novak Djokovic making history on the lawn at Wimbledon, and Italy breaking hearts on the pitch at Wembley. But later in the night, not a European vibe, not British anyway. It was Greek, and it's taking place in Milwaukee. Roll tape. Two big runs, the key in this game. As the Suns lead off an air ball, Giannis lights the candle, or maybe I should say lights the fuse, and boom, the Bucks are on a run. Less than a minute later, Chris Middleton, Giannis, hangs and hits, runs 11-2. Drew Holiday, 3, no, float game.
On point.
It was. The run is 16. The run's now 23-9. Devin Booker had really his first poor shooting game of the playoffs. That's an amazing pass from Holiday to Middleton, back to Holiday, back to Portis. Bobby Portis providing energy. Bucks had 22 in the paint in the second quarter, tied for the most in any quarter of an NBA Finals game in the last quarter century. 30-9 run to end the quarter. Monty Williams, what did he tell his team at the half?
They're freaking out working us, guys. I'm just going to shoot you freaking straight. They are out freaking working us.
Well, they would continue to put in work late third. Drew Splappa from 3. Bucks now leading by 14. Giannis, no. Giannis, yes. And it hurts worse because it's an and one. He'd make the free throw. I need a final number on him from the free throw line. He was 10 of 13 at one point. He added to that. 17-point lead. Now Pat Connaughton steps into a 3. It drops. A 16-0 run to end the quarter, and they would go on to win by 20. Afterwards, Monty Williams on the L.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you can spin it, but they played with a great deal of aggression for longer stretches than we did, and we knew it was coming. We did not respond to it well tonight, especially in the second and third quarters. And the turnovers certainly hurt us, points in the paint, everything we've been talking about the whole series. So it was a tough lesson for us to learn. You know what was coming, but just didn't do enough consistently to withstand their attacking the paint, whether it was penetration, offensive rebounding, and then we gave them so many possessions. So we lost a shot, and then they scored off of it. So it was a double whammy.
Well, this is a win for me and all of you at home. Doris Burke's back on the show after calling this game on ESPN Radio. DB, great to visit with you. And the playoffs, as you know so well, having watched them so closely for all these years, there are ebbs and flows. Things come and go. And this Buck team, as we were talking about with Michael Wilbon and Stephen A., when they're physical, when they attack the paint, boy, they're hard to deal with. But it comes and goes. I don't get that. What'd you see from them tonight?
Well, I love what my radio partner John Barry calls them. He calls them the Bucks of chocolate because you never know what you're going to get. And it's absolutely true. I thought tonight was so much about disposition and one team playing harder for much longer stretches, and that's the Milwaukee Bucks. And when they go to their game, which is in the paint dominance, which is hitting the glass, they are very difficult to deal with. To me, the real estate, every inch of it was fought for by the Phoenix Suns because Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday played with a matter of pride that they needed to. They were being thoroughly outplayed by Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and both men said, not tonight, not in my house.
I've been so impressed with this Phoenix team who, yes, they've got Chris Paul, but as a group, they're so young other than Chris, and they haven't been through this. The Bucks haven't been on this stage either, meaning the finals, but they've got more experience together. I just wonder how, Doris, do you think Phoenix might react to this loss this way?
Scott, it is incredible to me that there are 3 starters in the Phoenix Suns lineup 24 years of age and younger, and yet the disposition, the maturity, their resiliency all season long. And when you ask Monty Williams about it, he said it goes to Jay Crowder and Chris Paul having been in their ear all year about this time of year. But they got punched in the face tonight. They've got a couple of days to think about it, but they have got to get back to a level of physicality and disposition and match what is coming at them from a desperate Milwaukee Buck team.
You think they will?
I do. I think they will respond unequivocally because I don't think Devin Booker will shoot. I believe he was 3 for 14. I don't have the stat sheet in front of me. Listen, he has made consistently over the course of his career contested shots. It's going to be physically hard for Devin Booker again. I just don't think you see a repeat performance. Now, one thing I'm going to say is they missed Dario Saric. You know, Frank Kaminsky came in limited minutes. Yeah, they're going to miss Saric because Crowder, when he goes off the floor, it's a very difficult physical matchup for them in terms of trying to deal with Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's a challenge for anybody, but Saric not being there is a big miss.
I agree. It's a great point. Look, stars are what propel ratings and talk and this and that, but those role players, those significant minutes that you get from your bench, it's not a luxury. Oftentimes they're the key to the winning possessions and winning games that decide titles in the end. Doris, so good to visit. It's been too long. I hope we can do it again, all right?
Sounds good, Scott.
Aggressive shooting early, but had a poor shooting night, 3 of 14. Asked about the looks he got.
I think I can get better ones, and we'll make that happen. But the point of the game is to win it, and I think there was other things that went on throughout the game. You can say it's a make-miss game, but at the end of the day, you have to make the other team miss and get easy opportunities for your team. And, we didn't do that tonight.
Back around the middle. Go ahead, Dave.
Chris, you spoke to us right in front of you. You spoke to us in the conference finals about the importance of closing out quarters. In the third tonight, you had it down to 4, and then it ends on, I think, a 24-6 run. What do you think was missing in execution to end the third?
I don't know. I got to go back and watch it. Me and Jay was just talking about that in the locker room. During the game, there's so much going on. Substitutions and stuff, so I don't remember much, but that was big for us. And even the second quarter, we didn't close that quarter out well, and that's something we've been talking about all playoffs. So especially when we're on the road, you got to manage the game. You got to manage those end of quarters.
The odds swing back and forth. odds to win the title. Now the Bucks plus 210, Suns still minus 250 to hang on and win their first NBA championship. Big day in England of champions. All right, the NBA Finals saw the Bucks get the victory at home by 20. Bobby Portis Jr. contributing in a big way with 11 and 8, and he is standing by to join us live in Milwaukee. I'm not going to cheat you on that corner three before I welcome you in. I got to let people see that one more time. Bobby, congratulations on the victory.
Cool.
Heck, we got to show you hit that three now. You guys get on the board tonight. Before I get to the specifics of the game, just help me understand that area. 20-some-odd thousand people outside. Just the energy around the building and around your team for a finals game at home. What was it like?
It's crazy atmosphere here in Milwaukee. The fans really love their team. It's a blue-collar city. They just want to see guys go out there and give it their alls and, play with passion and play with energy. So I think I fit in right perfect. But outside, it's 30,000, 40,000 people. Inside, 17,000. So to have this many fans backing us and having our support and going out there and, cheering us on, it's great.
Now, we showed the other night after Game 2, Coach Bud talking to you about you're close. And, that's one of those things where you could say it's coach speak. But look, they made 23s, right? The difference in this league is more
sure.
is fractional. So as you guys came back home, just help me understand what you guys believed you could and ultimately did do tonight. What was that mindset?
Just staying together, knowing that it's a marathon, man. You go out there in this game. Every game is going to be different. And, game 1 and game 2 didn't go in our favor, but knowing that when we came home, we're going to have a home crowd on our side, get to sleep in our own bed, see our families a little bit more, and just decompress a little bit. And, we got in the gym the last couple of days, tuned some things up, and everybody's ready to roll.
What do you think your role is? Like, how would you describe what you believe you bring to your team nightly?
On this team specifically, it's coming in, bringing energy, being a dog on the floor, playing with passion, going to that, being who I am, bringing some scoring off the bench, and just being myself, man. I think Coach Bud and his staff they've done a great job of just letting me be me, and then having great teammates like Drew, Giannis, and Crew and Chris to, just trust me out there on the floor. It just makes it that much sweeter.
With Ayton in foul trouble and their bench among bigs kind of limited with the Saric injury, it looks like you guys, and with the size you've got, might have an advantage there. How much did, specifically tonight with Ayton, who's so good, in trouble, look to try to exploit that?
Just try to get some offensive rebounds. That's been the strength of ours all postseason. That's what we've done to get second chance points and second chance opportunities. So just playing with swag, playing with confidence, but knowing that we can still muck the game up a little bit more too as well. Crash the glass, get some easy ones, man.
Yeah, you got to muck it up when you can. I want to close with this. You know how the world works, social media, NBA, Twitter, this and that. Like, people would rather crush guys than give them love and give them their flowers, as they say. You see what Giannis does on a nightly basis. Yeah. This guy blows my mind. And it's like people want to knock the things.
Man, he blows minds, too.
Well, help me understand, what is this guy? You see him every day. How do you best explain to us what it is that this dude brings to the floor on a nightly?
I just think that his name speaks for itself, man. The Greek freak, the things that he could do on the basketball court is second to none, man. It's one-on-one. For a guy to hyperextend his knee less than 2 weeks ago and to come back ready to roll like this, and it's like he never even hyperextended his knee. It's like his name just speaks for itself, and he's an even better person off the court. He checks on us all. He stays in the gym, works as hard as he can to, put on these type of performances he's been putting on. And it's just great to be around him. Just being around him each and every day just raised my level to play too, man. Just makes me want to work harder and, just makes me, love the game even more as well, just because I see how passionate he is.
Well, Bobby, congratulations on the victory. Kind of you to spend so much time with us here on the show, and good luck the rest of the way. I hope we can cross paths again, okay?
Hey, Scott, man, I'm a big fan, too, man. It's my first time talking to you, but I'm a big fan of you, man, for real, for real.
That's kind. Listen, I appreciate that. You're easy to talk to. I was just going to tell you, you got to take that headset off and go because we could keep going. I got a half an hour more, but you probably got better stuff to do, Bobby. We'll talk again.
Hey, I'll talk all night. Man. I got all the time in the world for you, Scott.
All right, my guy. I appreciate that, Bobby. We'll talk again, all right?
Love.
All right, that's Bobby Portis. He and the Bucks improved to 10-2 this postseason in games 3 through 7. Interesting. That chunk of time where they seem to maybe figure some stuff out. They would be just the 5th team over the past 20 postseasons to win more than 80% of their games in 3 through 7. That's, I think, in a series where you, right? Steve, you're looking at me like you don't think that's interesting. I think that's interesting.
Well, it's your show.
No, it's our show, Steve.
No, it's your show.
All right, I think it's interesting. Us and Bobby. I'll make him when his season's done. He could be my cohort. He'd give me a little bit more love than you give me right now, Steve. There's Giannis. Some interesting comments about him and Michael Jordan, I'm told. I'm not going to tease it like you won't believe because I don't know what the hell he said.
Stay tuned.
We'll find out together. Giannis mean mugging. Bucks have been down 2-0 previously this postseason. Two-time MVP carried his team in this one. 30-10, 10 times this postseason. He had his eyes on a bigger number in this game. Giannis down low, too big. Giannis down low, too big. 13-17 at the free throw line, by the way. Giannis eating however and wherever and whenever he wanted. Beautiful design there. 19th half, scoring 15 or more this postseason, most in the NBA. Early third, Bucks lead is 11. 4 Suns in the picture. The other night, all the 50-50 balls ended up in the Suns' hands. And this one, it ends up in Giannis' hands, and it ends up in the basket. Same deal here with a putback. Giannis with 34 points and a dozen rebounds through 3. We showed you those big finishes to the second and third quarters for the Bucks. Giannis playing a big role in them. And now in the fourth, they're rolling up big. Now it's not a question of if, but by how many. Giannis gets the dunk there around Crowder. 41-13. That brought up questions about Michael Jordan.
And I know you said before you can't predict the future.
Yes.
But Michael Jordan had 4 straight 40-point games against the Suns in the NBA Finals.
I'm not Michael Jordan.
Is that in jeopardy?
I'm not Michael Jordan. 40 points in a straight 2.
4 in a row.
Yeah, no, I'm not Michael Jordan. But all I care about right now is getting one more. That's all. Just take care of business, doing our job.
Giannis finished with 24 in the restricted area, in the painted area, and the leg. See, tied for the most in an NBA Finals game over the last 25 years, matching LeBron and Shaq. Giannis also got to the line 17 times, made 13. Bucks had 10 more attempts than the Suns, which on some level makes sense because they're bigger and they're going inside more. But that did catch the attention of Monty Williams.
I'm not going to get into the complaining publicly about fouls. Just not going to do that. But you can look, we had 16 free throws tonight. One person had 17. So, DA we got to learn from that. We got to beat guys to the spot, and he'll grow from this. I promise you he will.
Not going to complain, just counting, just publicly counting, making which makes the point. Monty's a class guy. Tim Legler is back, and Tim, we talked about the third quarter and where things get away from the Suns. You also talked about that smaller lineup and how the Suns really had trouble because of it. What can you show us?
It's where the whole thing turned, and you can see right here, DeAndre Ayton's out of the game, and so you got 5 guys on the court, and for all intents and purposes, you got 2 guards, 3 wings, and the Milwaukee Bucks have Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they got Bobby Portis down here, very physical offensive rebounder. And when you're in a zone, certain things happen, and one of which is there's no accountability on blocking out. So as this ball gets kicked out, Pat Connaughton's ready to tee this thing up. And now, if you're the Phoenix Suns, take a look at where all of them are looking. I mean, Booker's going to look here at Giannis, but everybody else is focused on the direction of the ball or Giannis Antetokounmpo, and as a result, you don't have a preset to find person to block out when you're in a zone, and that's going to give Bobby Portis down here in the baseline a free run at this basketball. He's going to go in and just go up over the top of Cam Johnson. He's a much more physical player than Cam Johnson, and that leads to a kick-out three because they lost track of Holiday after the pass. The other thing that happens in a zone is you have a tendency to overreact to what's going on in the lane because you know you're a smaller team, and that's why you're in a zone. And here's an example of that. This is just a simple ball screen, and actually the Suns play it pretty well. They engage these two guys right here. Torrey Craig does a nice job. As Lopez dives, I mean, he's got him right here locked up. That ball's not coming in, but look at what happens on the weak side. Cam Johnson is so insecure about Lopez because he's a 7-footer and they got 5 guards on the floor. He overcommits and prematurely does so, and it basically gives Jrue Holiday a very simple pitch and catch. And this is right up the floor off one screen, a wide open corner three on the opposite side of the floor. I pointed that play out to you during the game. It's too easy if you're in a zone to give that look up. But again, it comes down to the Suns. Now, it's one thing to play small if you've got physically tough, scrappy guys. I mean, Cam Johnson, Mikal Bridges, they're kind of wiry. And you got guys like Portis and Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they're throwing people around. Brook Lopez, it's just different. So with Ayton off the floor and no Saric, this team is so thin up front, it's really something to pay attention to going forward. DeAndre Ayton has to stay out of foul trouble.
If I'm the Bucks, I'm going to try to bully you from start to finish as long as the series goes. Have to. That's one place where there's a distinct advantage. 3-point difference was in the favor of the Bucks tonight. That's going to come and go. The Bucks, I think, could try to keep bullying. We'll see if it works. Tim, appreciate you. More coming up from Tim on the